Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So today is 5th June. And this is my, I don't know, my time I've been training for SBC. Okay. So today's motion is this house believes that development aid should be conditioned with recognition of gay rights, and I'm going to be pro with this. Okay, before we get to the arguments, first we get to my definitions. Wait, let me close the door first. Okay. Development aid. Let's go to the definition of development aid. Development aid is an aid given by governments or other agencies to support the economic, environmental, social, and political development of especially developing countries. Development aid is a concept that is closely related to foreign aid, international aid, overseas aid, developmental aid, developmental assistance, and so on. You must know that development aid is different from humanitarian aid, because development aid is aiming at a sustained improvement in the conditions in a especially developing country, rather than short-term relief. Development aid is widely seen as a major way to meet sustainable developmental goal. For example, to end poverty, to end hunger, to end a lot of problems, and sustain the solution. And development aid may be bilateral, given from one country directly to another country, or it could be multilateral, given by the donor country to an international organization such as the World Bank, IMF, UNDP, UNICEF, UNAIDS, humanitarian rights organizations, which then distributes it among the developing countries. Yeah. For example, the IMF lends soft loans to Indonesia as a form of development aid for Indonesia to make schools, infrastructure, and etc. That was this time Indonesia is facing a crisis. Yeah. Okay, now we're talking about gay rights. You must remember that all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. All human beings, not some, not most, but all, everyone, each one of us. No one gets to decide who is entitled to human rights and who is not. Because why? Because we are all equal. And nowadays, the international community increasingly recognizes gay rights as an intrinsic part of human rights. They are raising awareness to this. And some states they oppose the inclusion of gay rights issues into the definition of human rights. For example, Islamic majority states that, in particular, maintain that human rights as a concept does not extend to sexual orientation and gender identity. Despite some of the oppositions, the trend in the global way, it is rhetoric towards the advancement of gay rights. Why? Because they do realize that all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. And I'll see the problem. What's the problem LGBT people are facing right now? LGBTQ plus communities are facing right now. Usually, as I've seen with my own eyes, LGBT people are discriminated in their own environment. By what I mean, their families, their work environment, their environment, their friends, and etc. To be specific, let's talk about being gay or being a LGBTQ plus in Indonesia. If a person in Indonesia states that he or she is a part of LGBTQ plus community, they will be automatically discriminated. For example, the form is cyberbullying. The comments on Instagram, on their social medias, are going to be very criticizing. There are gonna be a lot of derision towards them, and people are not gonna like them. People are going far from them. Yeah, I've seen it myself. A lot of LGBTQ people are, how do you say this exactly? Avoided by society in general in Indonesia, and 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 actually there are a lot of LGBTQ plus people in the world. In any country, you'll find at least one person that is a part of LGBT, or yeah, simple gay. But there's one thing, we cannot generalize all the country in the world, because there are some countries that adhere to liberalism, some are to democratic, and so on. There are a lot of ideologies in this world, so that's why LGBTQ plus community are struggling right now today. They are they are obstructed to their to live their own life, where where today's people being themselves is obstructing their own life. Why? Because, for example, in Indonesia is a Muslim major country. There are a lot of Muslims population in Indonesia. There are Muslims in Indonesia. So, as I've said, Muslims are not identifying human rights, extending to sexuality and gender. It's different in the Muslim stigma, but yeah, that's why the LGBTQ plus are struggling today, and they must be helped in some kind of way. There must be a solution for them. This is where I believe that the development aid comes in clutch. The government could create something to help LGBTs. For example, in America, they use the development aid money to create designated space for LGBTQ plus communities to feel safe. For example, maybe schools, kitchen, community place where they could feel safe, the place where they could hang out, and no discrimination towards them, and education aid for them, and so on. They must be helped, and I believe if the government is doing this, if the America's government is doing this, LGBTQ plus people are going to be relieved by this. They are going to be helped by this. We know that this problem, we're talking about Indonesia right now. We know that this problem, gay rights, isn't at the top of the scale priority. There are a lot more problems that are more important than this. We are a developing country. We don't have the time for it. We don't have the time to think about gay rights. We are now thinking about Industrial Revolution 4.0. We must think about our infrastructures. We must think about our loans. We must think about our Indonesia's companies. We need to think about our own selves. And gay rights is at the below of the part, below at the scale of priority. That's why I think. That's why I believe that. That's why I think Indonesia government isn't going to notice LGBT rights anytime sooner. And also, if Indonesia's government is noticing them, is giving some of the development aid money for the LGBTs. Yeah, they're going to be criticized by a lot of political party. There are going to be a political madness. The president right now and the political party will go mad, go crazy, because there will be a lot of critics towards them. And conclusion is, all human deserves the same rights and dignity. We are equal, not most, not some, but we are all equal. Every human, no matter what your sexuality or gender. And right now, there are problems that LGBTQ plus people are facing. As I've said, they're discriminated and so on. A lot of problems. That's why development aid is very important to them. Development aid will get them through this. This is why I believe that. That's just all from me. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.